show. I am the Notorious B.I.V. This is my boy, Paulie G.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
And apparently Paul is celebrating Mexican Independence Day.
It's also Guatemalan Independence Day, Honduras, Costa Rica,
really?
Nicaragua, El Salvador. A whole bunch of countries all celebrate their Independence Day.
Even though they didn't all get it on the exact same day.
I think they all declared it the same day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All the Central American countries said, we are no longer Spain.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, Mexico didn't get their independence on September 15th. That's just when they started fighting for it. It was like 100 years later or something. 80 years later. I don't remember. A long time later.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. Well, happy
Mexican Independence Day?
Central American Independence Day.
There you go.
That's awesome. I have Mexican heritage. My grandpa on my mom's side came here from Mexico.
Nice. I do not.
Yeah, but you went to Guatemala and speak Spanish.
See.
So there we go. We both have ties. So that's awesome.
Yep.
All right. So
what is our topic for today? I don't even know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, let me tell you.
Okay.
So I'll start with this. So when Stephanie, my wife, was on the city council, I noticed a lot of things about politics and stuff, but this is one that I noticed. Well, this is one we'll talk about. So you have here we have like a city council of like I think 5 city council members and a mayor, right? And I mean, and it's different in different cities or whatever, but that's how it is here. But there's always a city manager, right? And the city manager, city council members are elected, obviously, and they have like their 4-year term in our case. And then they're gone, or maybe they serve 2 terms or whatever, but like they come and go. But the city manager is there like the one when she got elected, the city manager, he'd been there for like 12 years or something like that.
What does the city manager do?
Well, that's a good question, Paul. The city manager is in charge, like, he's basically the boss of all the city departments. Like, he's the boss of the police department, the public works department, like, they all report to him.
Wow, I'm surprised I've never heard this before. Or if I have, I don't remember.
Really? So
that seems like an important job.
It is an important job.
Is it elected? Because I don't remember ever hearing about this job. So.
No, it's not elected.
So is it appointed by the mayor or by the?
No, like the mayor and city council will hire a city manager.
Okay.
Basically.
And so then if they don't like their job, they can fire them and find somebody else?
Yes. I mean, technically, but that doesn't happen very often. Like, you know.
As long as they're doing a good job.
Yeah. And I guess, go ahead.
Oh, because it's not an elected position, so it's not like you have terms like, oh, you only get to serve for this amount of time and then we find someone else.
Right.
Or have an election or whatever.
Right. But that, and that's kind of my point, is that like this.
Maybe it should be.
Well, yeah, that person's not elected, right? But they're there for like, years potentially.
Right.
And they've got like their own sort of agenda that they're pursuing because they're like, if they try to get another city manager job somewhere, they want to be like, oh, well, when I was city manager over here, we built this and did this and blah, 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 right?
Right.
It's like he's kind of got energy. He wants to do certain things. And then the city council is technically his boss, but they don't. But as like firing a city manager, first of all, you have to have I think you have to have a majority vote kind of a thing on it and stuff like that. So it rarely happens. Plus, if you fire the city manager, then maybe some people are going to be pissed at you or whatever. They're going to be like, oh, you guys fired the city manager for no reason or whatever. Anyway.
That's really interesting.
So my point is, though, you have this unelected person who's there a lot longer than the city council members, and they kind of they have their own kind of agenda, and the thing is, those are taxpayer funds that they're using, right, to do whatever they think is the right thing to do. And of course the city council, they're in charge too, but I'm just rambling, but if the city manager, the other thing too is okay, the city council is in my case, Stephanie's a mom, right? Or they're a lawyer, they have a day job or whatever, and it's
right.
They're just part-time or whatever. So when they have a meeting, they get a packet prepared by the city manager and his staff or whatever to say, okay, here are the issues you wanted to talk about. Here's the information surrounding those issues.
So the city council tells the city manager, these are the things that we want to talk about. Then the city manager does research on those topics.
Right.
Okay. And then says, here's the things you wanted to talk about. Here's the information about those things.
Right. So, so he kind of controls the flow, what information they see, and they could go and investigate on their own, which
right.
sometimes they do. But for the most part, they're relying on him to give them the information.
How long are the city council in for?
4 years, 4-year terms. In our case,
anyway. And they're elected.
Yeah, and they're elected. So, and Stephanie and they bumped up against the city manager all the time, and it's we want to do this thing or whatever, but the city manager's kind of doesn't think it's a good idea,
But they are his boss.
Technically, yes.
So it doesn't really matter if he thinks it's a good idea. He should do what they tell him to.
He should. But
that's the problem.
That's the problem. And like I said, he can feed them certain information or whatever to make things look a certain way. He can say, I should give a specific example. So he would suggest something like, hey, let's do this study to see if we should widen this one street or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the city council's like, well, we don't really want to widen that street. And he's like, oh, well, let's just do a study, right? And then it would be like, okay, fine, we'll do the study. Well, so then $50,000 later, well, we already spent $50,000 on the study. We may as well just go ahead and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Or let's apply for these park funds, from the federal government or whatever. We don't have to do anything to the park. We just need to apply for the funds in case we're going to, And it's we applied for the funds and we have them. We may as well just you know, do the
Right.
park, or, you know, and stuff like that.
So that's where the city council could say, okay, I don't think this is working out. We need to let you go.
Well, they could, but again, like,
But then they have to find somebody else, and maybe that's hard.
and that's hard. And plus, you know, if, you know, what if, you know, what if there are all these people? So they did a study and they asked all these people, you know, oh, what would you like to have in the park, or whatever. And then they're like, then if you don't do the park, then all these people are like, oh, but
Why did you ask our opinion if you're not even going to do anything about it?
yeah, stuff like that, you know. So, um, so, so that's like at a city level, but on the federal level, we have the same thing. Like you've got Department of Agriculture, you know, FBI, IRS, like just all these departments, and 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 it's because like obviously the president can't, like, you know, he's not gonna spend, you know, he's not gonna personally oversee like every single thing, right?
Sure.
Like he's not gonna be like, you know, so there are these agencies that control all those things, and then he'll like, hey, let's get a report from the Department of Agriculture or whatever, and then they're like, okay, here you go, and
But again, you have, like, is the Secretary of Agriculture, is that an elected position or is that an appointed position?
I think like the heads are appointed generally
Yeah.
by like a president or something like that.
Right.
But like, but like all the employees are basically just like there for life, right? You know, unless, I mean, I'm sure some come and go or whatever, or go to different departments or whatever.
Right, but it's not like elected positions where they get a term and people voted on them, and
Right.
it's like, okay, let's let somebody else have a turn.
And I think some people are like, are saying there should be like term limits for, you know, federal employees or whatever.
That's hard though, because if it's your job, then now what? You got to go find another job. Then
Yeah,
would you want to do a job that you know is only going to last for 4 years, and then you got to find another job?
true. So, but again, like, so the Department of Agriculture, what is that?
That's my phone. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, but if the Department of Agriculture just has like, they're pursuing their agenda or whatever, regardless, and presidents like, and senators and Congress come and go, and they're still there for like all these years, you know what I mean? And I get,
Right.
and that's what people, I guess, call the deep state or whatever. But so I don't know. I think it's kind of a problem, because just from what I saw on this, like the city level, you know, like I said, like the city manager's full time. He and his staff are full time. They're always there. They're dealing with everything. You know, city council's just part time, whatever. They get whatever information they're given,
Right.
and have to kind of decide as far as that goes. So yeah. So I don't know how you like get rid of that situation, but I personally don't think unelected people should be like spending our money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's an interesting question. How do you decide whether somebody should be elected or whether it should be appointed?
I mean, again, the president can't like oversee every single thing, obviously.
And we can't vote on every single position.
Yeah.
That would be too many.
Right. That would be difficult too.
We should vote. We should elect people that we trust, and then let them be able to appoint people. And you know, and if you didn't,
well, and that's what we do. We have a republic,
right? Right.
So we elect representatives, and the representatives vote on things or whatever.
Right.
But the point is, like, there are these unelected officials or whatever
that have a lot of power.
So
that's interesting.
I don't know. Anyway, There you go.
What's the position? City
manager.
City manager. That's interesting.
Yeah, in fact, so I was part of this. Have you ever done a focus group?
Mm-hmm.
So you get together and they get together a group of people, and then you do something, and then they ask you questions about it. Well, so I think it was some kind of advertising agency or something. They showed us this pilot episode of like a sitcom, and it had ads and whatever, like during it, and then they asked us questions about it afterwards. And it was funny because the sitcom was about like a city manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And her staff or whatever, and it was an older actress. I think it was. Do you remember the lady
that sounds like Parks and Rec?
Yeah, it's kind of like it was. It's kind of like that, but it was like older, like probably from the maybe 80s or something. And it was the lady that was the main character was like the one that played Rhoda or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, but so like they showed us this show about a city manager, and I think this was before Stephanie was in politics or anything. But I just remember that show, and like it was all like, oh, city manager. That it's just like they're like all these things are going wrong, and it's like, oh, we got to do this. Oh, but this is happening too, and all this stuff. It was just like
interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you go.
So is Stephanie still on city council?
No.
Okay.
No, she served.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, she served 2 terms, and then she was running for a 3rd term and didn't get it.
Is the same city manager still there after all this time?
No, so he'd been there for about 12 years.
Oh, and then somebody else came in.
And then he retired, after like 15 years or something like that, and they hired a new one. But then...
So letting a city manager go isn't like a political position where it's like, oh, well, it's not that big a deal because you're going to have something else. It's like, oh, you just got fired from your job and now you have to find a new career path.
Well, I mean, no, you probably just go and become a city manager somewhere else.
Oh, I see. Because every city needs... But then wouldn't you have to live... Do you have to live in the city you're a city manager for it? So when you have to move? Or I guess if you're a city manager in Bountiful, you could be a city manager for Centerville. It's not that far away or something. There's a bunch of small towns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, most of them live close to where the city is.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I mean, today everyone's working remote. So I don't know if...
Is it that important?
So I wonder if there's like a city manager somewhere who's, in Omaha that's managing some place in Arizona or something. Right?
It seems like it'd be important to be nearby because if you're the one who's saying this is what the people want, they want this for this park, like you were talking about widening a street and stuff like that. If you don't actually live anywhere near there,
you have to know the issues or whatever.
Well, yeah, it would seem like you'd want to be part of the community that you're managing, right? So that you're like, oh, this stop sign is a problem. People keep getting in a car accident here or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a city manager's job. I don't know.
No, it is. All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. There's the problem, and there's no solution.
Seems like the solution is the people on city council need to be willing to let somebody go if they're not. But then you said, you have to have the majority. So maybe Stephanie is butting heads with this guy, but maybe the other people aren't, and so then
and the guy they hired to replace him, they still were having problems with him.
Issues.
It's like, okay, like what do you do?
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go.
Well, interesting stuff.
Yeah. Not, I guess. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. See you in the next video.
Peace out.